Hi again. We've gotten some questions from kids about some of the recipes that we've been doing here on our videos in our kitchen. So Grace is going to share some of those questions and I'm going to do the best I can to answer them. So Grace, what's our first question?
How do you know when your bread is done?
That is a very good question. So how do you know when your bread is done? There are three things that you can do. One is if you have your loaf on a pan, you can take it out of the oven and using an oven mitt, gently turn it over and you're gonna thump the bottom of your bread. And it should kind of have a nice hollow thumping sound. It shouldn't be squishy or soft. This bread recipe that we made a few weeks ago, your bread's gonna get pretty brown. So if it looks like it's getting dark, that's actually just fine. The best way to tell if your bread is done is to actually take the temperature. So the thermometer I have here is a meat thermometer. So this is what I use when I'm making meat. If your parents have one that they use when they are barbecuing, you can use that as well. This is not the same thermometer you use to take your own temperature, and it is not the same as a candy thermometer. And you're gonna put it into your bread, and you want it to be at about 190 degrees. Sometimes when you read the recipe, it'll tell you what temperature it should be on the inside. So this is the best way to tell if your bread is done. Sound good? Next question.
What can you mix into your bread, meaning raisins, chocolate chips?
So a lot of times when we're teaching this in schools, kids ask us, can we add things to our bread recipe? And I'm gonna say eventually, yes, you can. But when you're first making your bread recipe, especially if this is the first time that you've done it, I want you to make it just as the recipe tells you, because I want you to feel confident and make sure that you have really understood those skills that we've been trying to teach you. So you understand why everything is happening the way it is. Then after you've really mastered that and you feel comfortable with the recipe, you can go ahead and try to add different things. So you could add raisins to your bread. You could take your dough, roll it out, fill it with cinnamon sugar, roll it up and make a cinnamon loaf. There's lots of different things that you can do. All right, Grace, what's our next question?
Why can't you eat raw dough?
You cannot eat raw dough because it is not good for you. All right, so flour is an agricultural product. It comes from wheat. Wheat is grown on a farm just like fruits and vegetables. But unlike fruits and vegetables that we have in our kitchen, we can't wash flour before we eat it. And that's why you have to bake it. So that's why we ask you to wash your hands not only before you start your recipe, but at the end of your recipe. Before you handle other food and taste things, you're gonna wanna wash your hands really well, clean up all the flour that's all over your kitchen really well. If you've got a lot of flour on your floor or counter, actually vacuuming it is a really easy way to clean that up and pick that up. So unfortunately, you cannot taste your cookie dough, you cannot eat your raw brownie batter. I'm sorry, it's just not healthy for you. What's our next question?
Do I really have to measure carefully?
Yes, you do have to measure carefully. So baking is a science, even more so than cooking. Like if you're cooking like a spaghetti sauce or something, you have a wide range of trying different ingredients and adding different things in just to see what happens. Baking is different. There's science in baking. If you've seen some of our other videos, you might have heard some of our bakers refer to their recipe as their formula, because it really is a scientific formula. Things are being added in certain ratios, they have certain jobs to do, and we've talked about what some of those are. And so you really want to measure your ingredients accurately, especially when you're first learning a recipe, to really understand why things are happening the way they are. And that's the best way that you can guarantee that your baking project is going to be successful, is with careful measuring. So these are great questions. Hopefully maybe we can do this again. So if you have some questions, go ahead and share them with us and we'll do our best to answer them. But until I see you again, happy baking.